Here we go. This is going to be good. And outside. Ooh.
Well,
Rugby.
that's an unfair contest.
Whew, the international rugby season for 2022 is done. I was gonna do like a year-end review thing, but the year no longer ends for SA Rugby. The season just keeps going and going and going and going and going. But what happened on Saturday? First up was a clash between a movable object and a stoppable force, with the Welsh hosting the Aussies in Cardiff. Interestingly, the Principality roof was open by like 3 meters. Okay, let's move on. For 52 minutes, the Welsh were all over the Aussies. They built a 34-13 lead and Faletau and AWJ were balling it up. Then the Wallabies made a few changes, including bringing on Pete Motherflippin' Samu. The Welsh also lost Anscombe to injury and they took off AWJ and Faletau for some reason. All of a sudden, we went back to the old ways. Those halcyon days of Kurtley Beale and Adam Ashley Cooper breaking Welsh hearts in the last minutes of test matches. This time, it was hooker replacement Lonergan, who scored the winning try and even kicked out the ball to win the game. Joy for the Aussies, who finally won another game on tour. And anguish for the Welsh. Both these teams will be going into the international break with opposing questions. The Aussies have a good coach, in my opinion, but they can't put out a fit team for all the Vegemite in the world. The Welsh can put out a team with like 9 lions and over 1,000 caps, but their coach is a lemon. I guess at least they both know what to work on. Next! Remember that one time in Game of Thrones when a character changed completely between seasons, but the show just kept going with its sex and violence like nothing happened? That's kind of what it felt like watching the Boks dismantle the English at Twickenham on Saturday. Stay with me. Like before, England were coming off a draining match against the All Blacks. Their props were getting scrummed into shapes that only surgery could repair, and a scrum cap wearing winger banished an English fly-off into the shadow zone. The sex and violence were all there again. It's just the faces that were different. There were some other small differences as well. For one, the Boks gladly ran the ball down the right-hand touchline, making many meters. There was also the tactic of putting up box kicks and not competing in the air. Sometimes they would just happily tackle the receiver and then blast the ensuing ruck with Eben and Sia. It is a nice low-risk plan that works about as often as competing with the jumper. In total, I think the tour showed us that the Boks are tweaking their plan. They are still a kick-first, bash-to-hell second team, but they are running it a lot more than they did in July. New regulars have also been added to the roster in Arendse, Moody and Hendrikse. And last year's newbies have gotten nice and settled in. Our biggest, most glaring issue is discipline. From being a squeaky clean team in 2019, we've gone to giving up multiple yellows and reds throughout games this year. It's no surprise who the most disciplined teams in the world are. You're right, France and Ireland. So, the homework for 2023 is clear. Get more disciplined, teach Pollard to pass like Lebok, and please change all of Rassi's phone passwords. News, you say? I'm listening. The Erk restarted this past weekend, and I alone went to watch the Lions beat the Dragons at Ellis Park on Sunday. However, the actual news is that Sean Everett has been let go as Sharks head coach. This after Cardiff nilled the Sharks in Durban on Sunday. Luckily, there was no one there to see that either. I'm guessing Neil Powell will become the head coach now until they find someone else to replace Sean. Very little other news. Not even a Rassi tweet to get worked up about at the time of filming. I guess we should all just dive back into club rugby now with the Erk, the Premiership and the Top 14 back up and running. You can even watch the Pro D2 if you're a pervert. Oh, and there's the Champions Cup and the Challenge Cup starting soon. That should be novel. My Lions will no longer be facing the Worcester Warriors on the 9th of December for reasons that have been documented very well. It seems now that they will be facing the Dragons at Ellis Park on the 10th of December. So I guess the Dragons just left their clothes here. Wouldn't need to pack all that stuff again. And that was a short rugby update for this week. I will see you all next week for more rugby because the season just keeps going and going and going and going and going.